Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is going to be excavation readiness, where we're going to be focusing on how to build a culture of safety and damage prevention through effective responses. My name is Eva Donahue, and I'll be presenting today's topic. And moderating with me today is Ashley Brown, and we're both part of your member services team. Before we get started, we just wanted to remind you, throw out a couple of reminders. First of all attendees are in listen-only mode. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, we do ask that you enter those questions in the chat. We will also be having a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar where we will answer the questions that are submitted. And then also for attending today's webinar, this is something new that we are doing. You'll be entered into a drawing to win a $25 Amazon gift card. So we do ask that you go ahead and enter your name in the chat for a chance to win this gift card. And then towards the end of the webinar, after our Q&A session, we will be spinning a wheel to draw the winner. So now let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to discuss excavation readiness, what it is, the data that's included to determine if a ticket is excavation ready and on time, and why excavation readiness matters. So first, let's talk about what excavation readiness is. What it is that, first of all, it is a new initiative that OKI 811 is doing to help better understand and support the overall health of your membership. So last month, some of the members may have received an email that showed your excavation readiness performance score. And we're just sharing this information, which is just as a part of our effort to provide transparency and insight into excavation readiness. So what is excavation readiness? Excavation readiness means that all facilities are marked or cleared in the OKI 811 portal by the work to begin date. It also means that by the work to begin date that all operators have either marked their facility in the field or cleared. If the facility is not in conflict, they've cleared their facility as being in conflict, and it's all documented in the OKI 811 portal. So whether you needed to mark your underground facility or if your facility is not in conflict, you need to document that in the OKI 811 portal. That is something that became law back in November of, I believe, 2021. And also just timely and accurate responses do help ensure excavation can begin safely and on schedule, which is the focus of all the locate requests that are submitted. So by focusing on timely and clear responses in the OKI 811 portal, excavation readiness helps confirm the excavation can begin digging safely and as scheduled, and supports this overall goal of damage prevention. So with me mentioning that excavation readiness score, we wanted to kind of show you what is included in that calculation for excavation readiness. Excavation, again, it's only going to excavation readiness is about whether excavation can safely begin or continue and on time. And so only normal tickets, remarks, and extend tickets represent active and ongoing excavation, which is why they're going to be included in the excavation readiness and response performance score. These ticket types do require timely, clear responses directly to support safe digging and damage prevention. So you can see like normal tickets are going to be for a new excavation activity. It's the initial ticket, and it does establish the initial work to begin date on that ticket, of course, and then the operators will need to be required to respond timely and accurately for each normal ticket for that excavation to begin on time and safely. Remark, of course, it indicates that the excavation is ongoing. It's a subsequent ticket of the initial ticket, but it says that the the work is going to extend beyond the life of that ticket. So they're asking for the facilities to be remarked. So of course you'll need to respond on that as well. Of course, all tickets are going to require a response, but these are the ones that are required for new excavation or continued excavation and be included in this excavation readiness initiative. And then also extend, it is also uh, it's also a continuation of the work that they need to extend the life of the ticket because the work is going to extend beyond that 14-day period. But on these extend tickets, that is usually the excavator stating that remarks aren't needed, but it still does require a response. So you will, and it is your choice as a facility operator, as whether you want to take the excavator for their word that the markings are still visible, and we have an extend response code that you can respond with to extend tickets, or if you prefer to go out and verify on your own that the markings are visible, you can, and you do that, you can respond with site marked and your response on how you handled that. So these are the only 3 tickets that are included in the excavation readiness calculation. And the responses, these are the response codes that are considered excavation ready. So if you're responding with one of these codes, that means that you are responding on time with a clear response that is considered excavation ready. So you have your site marked. Of course, that's kind of self-explanatory. The site marked shows that the facility has been marked at the site. Clear, saying your facility is not in conflict. So that's a clear status of your facility. And then correction required, not marked. This is considered excavation ready because it is providing information to the excavator stating something is, some of the information on the ticket is incorrect, and it's telling them to contact Okie 811 to provide the additional or correct information on that ticket. Watch and protect. It's providing information saying that, that a facility representative needs to be on site when the excavation happens. So that's providing a clear status. And then that does include, this response should include certain information. In that response, such as if you need to be out there to watch and protect that facility and that excavation happening, you want to provide a name and a phone number for whoever is going to be out there during that time of excavation to monitor the excavation around your facility. And then also that ticket type extend that we talked about on the last slide as well. It's just confirming again that the excavator stated that the marks are still visible, so you don't need to go back out there. But again, that's your choice whether you want to go out there or not. But these are the codes that are considered excavation ready. If you're responding to a ticket outside of these codes, then you'll want to do a follow-up with one of these codes to confirm and provide a clear status of that of your facility for that particular ticket. So why does this excavation readiness matter? Of course, excavation damages remain the leading cause of utility incidents, and our mission is to provide quality underground damage prevention services. So excavation damages being the leading cause, we want to make sure that we're doing our part in trying to support our mission to provide quality underground damage prevention services so that excavators can confidently begin their work on time. Without excavation readiness, excavators cannot confidently or legally begin to work until every effective facility owner or operator that's listed on that ticket has responded to the locate request. So excavators, with them not being able to confidently respond, then that causes certain delays for their project, could result in damages. So excavation readiness helps prevent those things, including higher operational costs, because you might be receiving repeat tickets where you're having to go out there and verify it again. You're also not going to be in compliant. Excavation readiness helps all of this and helps provide a safe excavation site as well. This is just a look at the excavation readiness report for 2025. And again, it's just a report of the number of tickets that are excavation ready on time. And as you can see here, there's still some improvement that needs to happen. As this was only showing only 50% of our ticket volume are excavation ready. So we want to look at ways how we can improve that. So first, we're going to start talking about proactive response management, which is the practice of actively monitoring and prioritizing and responding to locate requests before the work date and time. You want to make sure and respond with clear and accurate information because it focuses on preventing delays, confusion, and risk through timely and intentional communication. So, so in this session, we're going to look at how to respond. Sorry about that. The timely ticket reviews and what effective responses look like. So as many of you know, we are currently transitioning to a new Oki 811 portal. So for members, you will have access to both portals currently, the old and new portal. And in the old portal, you have some features such as queue. You can look at your queue, say if your emails have failed or anything like that, or accidentally deleted an email, you can log into the portal and look at the tickets we sent for the current day. You can search previous days as well, but it defaults to the current day and resend a ticket to your to where it originally sent. You have reports, which is really going to be helpful with this initiative of excavation readiness. Membership info, is where you can view the information that we have on file with that you have on file with Oki 811, which also can help with this initiative and as well as positive response. You'll be able to respond through the old portal as well as in the new portal. In the new portal, you also have a SAE snapshot, and we'll kind of look at that here in just a little bit, but it's a way you can compare the dig site, the mapping of the dig site to the mapping of your facilities if you are listed on that ticket. And then also with the service area editor and snapshot, we also have some new excavator features, and this is on the ticket side. If you are submitting tickets as an excavator, there are new draft features that are available. We also have new pre-excavation meeting tickets, and then this new portal is also mobile optimized. So if you're on an iPad or a phone, it will change that view to where you can easily view the portal on whatever device you're using. So first, we're going to talk about how to respond. You want to make sure and respond for each facility type on your your positive response configuration. And we'll kind of look at that a little bit when we look at your dispatch information. But you want to make sure that you're responding for each facility type. So if you have maybe water and sewer that you're listed under your dispatch code and on your positive response configuration, when you log in to respond to tickets, you are going to see the same ticket for so that you can respond one for water and one for sewer. So want to make sure that you're responding for each facility type. You want to make sure, or something you can do with positive responses, you can post multiple or the same response to multiple tickets. So if you received 20 tickets for the day, three of them or five of them, you went ahead and you know that you've marked them, you can go ahead and select those three tickets and then post that one responsive site marked to all three tickets. So that's a helpful feature to help save time by responding through the portal. We also encourage you to utilize the comment section to document any type of correspondence or coordination that you've had with the excavator. these tickets and responses are part of your record, and so it is a good idea to document any kind of correspondence or use or and clarify any kind of response or anything like that or confusion um, that may be in the field. So you want to make sure and utilize those comments. And then also, you can have unlimited number of users sign up for the portal so that so whoever you need or is responsible for responding to these tickets, you can have as many users as you need. They just need to make sure you just need to make sure that they have their own unique email address, because we can't have multiple users with the same email address. Also, there's also positive response assistance available to you, of course. We have user guiding in the portal. It kind of walks you through how to use the portal, how to respond to a ticket. And then we also have tutorials available on our website. And then also, if needed, we can schedule a meeting with you and your team to kind of walk you through how to respond to the tickets. So, timely ticket review. First of all, knowing and understanding ticket types and response options for each ticket type can help you respond more efficiently. And you can find that information in our membership guide that's found on the facility operators page of the website. Example, we talked about ticket type extend earlier, and that ticket type extend response. That's site marked and ticket type extend is the only response you can have for a ticket type, the extend ticket type. So just knowing that kind of information helps you. We have pre-excavation meeting requests. That is not part of the excavation readiness, but because it's not a dig ticket, but knowing which response options are available to those meeting requests is helpful and help you again respond more efficiently. But for timely ticket review, we do encourage you to monitor your tickets daily. You can use the email notifications that you receive when we send those locate request notifications to your email, fax, whatever you have set up. You can use that as an indicator to log in and respond to the tickets through the portal, or maybe set up some kind of schedule with you and your team. We have, because we have a variety of different members and their resources available to help them respond. They have certain schedules and processes in place to help, maybe that they review and respond at the end of the day versus when they're out in the field. But if you have the ability to respond while you're out in the field, that's probably the best time to do it, so that all information is included, especially with utilizing the comments, or if you've had any kind of correspondence with the excavator, it's probably a good idea to do it on time right then and there. Um, Also identify the work dates. So what's due within the next 3 days. By law, you are required to respond to the tickets by the work date and time, and that's usually, and the default is 48 hours, excluding date of notification. That's where the 3 days comes in. But make sure that you're responding by the work date and time listed on the ticket. And some things to help you respond to the tickets on time is you can sort the responses by the work on date. So here on the image below, you see the response queue, and you may have to zoom out to see all the fields, but there is a work on column, and you can click on that column header to sort those tickets by the work date and time to help you make sure you're responding on time. Also, large projects. If there's a large project happening in your area, you can sort those maybe by excavator name or another column, whichever works best for you to help respond to all those tickets together. And then also, if it's emergent, you can sort it by ticket type as well, to help to identify easily quickly identify those emergency ticket types. So that's another thing that to do is to respond on time. Again, emergency ticket type is not part of the excavation readiness tickets, but and that's because as with it being endangerment to life, health, or property, that excavator can dig immediately, but they are responsible for digging with care to protect those facilities. But they do have to submit a ticket and communicate that with you as soon as possible as well. Um, Open ticket view, you can select a ticket, of course, just one ticket, and click the open ticket button and to view the ticket information and the ticket information as well as the response information. And then also part of the response information, something new, is you're able to see the reason for repeat notices. If your ticket is not excavation ready, then the excavator may call in like a second notice or third notice trying to get a response for the status of your facility for their excavation job. And so if there is a repeat notice, you can look on the original ticket for the reason for that repeat notice. And some of that usually is due to conflicting information of the response as well as what they see in the field. And then also on the ticket view, you can look at the SAE snapshot. And what that is we'll look at that on the next slide. The SAE snapshot, basically, when you're responding to a ticket, you can open the ticket, of course, and view the ticket information. And when you there is a map on that ticket view. In the top left corner of the ticket view, you'll see this SAE snapshot drop down. You will select that, click on the drop down to select your dispatch code, and then it will show you where your facilities are in comparison to this dig site for this ticket. So this is the excavator, this is the dig site polygon that we're looking at now. Once you select your code from that drop down menu, then you will see your facilities in comparison to the dig site. So here is the darker kind of gold color is the member services, the member service areas in relation to that excavator or dig site polygon. So this is a really helpful, a real good helpful tool to kind of help when you're viewing to see if your facilities are in conflict or not. Is using this SAE snapshot is a really good tool. And this tool can also help. Sometimes we get a lot of questions as to why I received this ticket or why I didn't receive this ticket. If you didn't receive the ticket, then you can look here, pull up the ticket. And if your facility is within a quarter of a mile, that SAE snapshot should work and show you where your facilities are. But outside of that, it won't. So normally, if you didn't receive a ticket, majority of the reason is because you don't have facilities registered on file with Okie 811 in that area. But if you're wondering why, this is also a great tool, or if you're trying to screen your tickets as well. So now let's look at effective responses. Effective responses are accurate and meaningful responses. So remember, these responses are your communication to the excavators. So you want to make sure and provide them with information that they need to know about your facility. Responses should clearly communicate the status of the underground facility and how it relates to the excavation area. So an effective response should set clear expectations for the excavator, so that they know they have clear understanding of where your facilities are, the status of your facility for their dig site. It does reduce assumptions in the field. And then also it prevents last minute delays and unsafe starts. So that's what an effective response should do. Effective response should include, of course, a timely response, making sure we're responding before the work date and time, and it's a clear status of your facility. So making sure there's no questions or confusion with your response and the status of that facility. And then also response information that aligns with the excavation scope on the ticket. You want to make sure that you're viewing that that what the excavator requested on that ticket, that your response is in reference to that scope that is described on that ticket. So remember, responses to the ticket are more than a requirement. They are a safety tool to allow these excavators to safely excavate around your underground facilities, as well as protect your underground facilities from any damages. Effective responses also are driven coordination. You want to make sure and coordinate directly with the excavators when the work area changes. Maybe there's conflicts that are identified. Or if additional time or clarification is needed. Of course, if the work area changes or there's a conflict, if there's a misinformation on the ticket that's incorrect, these on the right, this chart on the right is a list of all the response codes that are available to respond with. But keep in mind the excavation readiness codes that we discussed earlier. Um, if the information is incorrect, we do have a response code for that, and that's that correction required, not marked, which is considered excavation ready because you're communicating that more information or correct information is needed on that ticket. If additional time or clarification is needed, you'll want to, again, coordinate that with the excavator. Once y'all come to an agreement, then probably the best option might be is other for explanation and comments. But again, that other is not considered excavation ready. So you'll want to do a follow-up once you've went out there to the field and marked the facility, or if you decide it is cleared, make sure to follow up with site marked or clear. Because you can add more than one response to a ticket. So make sure to follow up on those. And also, of course, you want to make sure and use appropriate response codes when available. Other is for when anything outside of the response codes doesn't match how you responded to the ticket. That's when you'll use other. But if you marked it cleared, use those responses. And then we do have some automated responses that you probably see here as well. But any kind of coordination or correspondence, again, that you've had with the excavator, we do encourage you to document those in the comments. So active ticket lifestyle or lifecycle management. We hear about this occasionally and stuff about responding to tickets for work that is already completed, that maybe there's tickets that are continuing to be processed. Some of the things that we encourage you to do when responding to these types of tickets is to use those comments in your response and add keywording such as work already completed, to help. This is, and using these keywords is to help you pull reports on how often this is happening and identify those trends and who they're coming from, so you can work with that excavator and educate them. You can also report that and let us know so that we can kind of keep a lookout for it happening, and we can reach out to the excavator as well. We're happy to, all three of us to get together if that's something that's needed. But using that keywording is really helpful. It can be helpful in pulling that data to help identify those, again, where they're coming from. We also encourage you to include language from the law. There is language in the law about recouping cost for unnecessary tickets. And if the work is already completed and you're still receiving tickets, you are still required to respond to those tickets, but maybe that's what you need. That could be how you respond is with information about recouping cost. And then also make sure, again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, just make sure and communicate directly with the excavator about this, providing education with them and letting them know that you can recoup those costs. And again, if you do decide to take that step to recoup those costs, again, that keywording will help you identify which ones they submitted where work was already completed. Also limiting the extend or remark request to active ongoing work. Um, extend tickets, we want to make sure and review the best course of action for extend tickets to see if you need to visit the site again or not. Again, these are the ones where the excavator stated that the markings are still visible. Again, that's completely up to you whether you want to take their word for it and use that extend response code, or if you want to go out on the site or not. Just make sure to use follow your policies and procedures on how to prevent any damages and keep the excavator safe. But you want to make sure and just respond accordingly and communicate again with the excavator about that if there is any question. And then if you decide to go out and do site marked and mark the facilities or double check, then I would do the site marked response option and make note in that. And then, of course, close the loop once the work is completed to prevent unnecessary re-notifications. Just that's, again, coming back to those follow-up responses. Once you have completed your mark the site or whatever needed to happen, make sure and follow up with those additional responses. And if you continue to see these tickets that where work's already completed, make sure and communicate with that and educate the excavator on that as well, or communicate it back to Okie 811 to member services, and we can reach out to the excavator so that we can close that ticket out as well if the work is already complete. So now we're going to talk about some of the positive response trends that we're seeing in these reports, and some of the trends, of course, and you've seen it in the report that we showed earlier, is that the responses are being submitted late or after the work to begin date. So make sure and try to respond. Do your best on responding on time by the work date and time listed on the ticket. We're also seeing where there's no response in the portal. So after some communication with some members, it sounds like that they're responding. It's just outside of the Okie 811 portal. So they're not using the portal. They're just responding directly with the excavator. That's great. You can still, of course, respond outside of the portal as well, but to be compliant with the Okie 811 or with the Oklahoma Underground Damage Prevention Act, it is required that you respond through the portal as well. The excavator is also required to view the responses on their ticket in the portal to make sure all responses have been received by all facility operators. So, so if you are communicating and responding directly with the excavator, again, that's great. That's something, of course, you can continue to do. Just make sure that you're making notes and responding in the portal as well. We're also seeing some generic or unclear language. We're seeing where other is often used as to try and buy you more time. Again, other is not considered excavation ready. So you want to make sure if you are responding with other that you are responding or you are following up with an excavation readiness response code. But like one of the trends that we're seeing is they're using other, and then it says line may or may not be marked. I think that doesn't provide a whole lot of information any more than what was original with the ticket being submitted. I think the excavator knew that already. So we want to make sure and use this other only if the other response codes are not uh, doesn't correspond or are appropriate for your response that you provided. Other is only to use as a last resort, but if you do, it should provide some information about your facility. Why it's not marked yet, why if you couldn't mark it, whatever it might be. But this one is kind of a trend that we want to try to get a hold of, and because it should be either site marked or clear, or some of the other options to communicate to the excavator if more information is needed. Also, we're seeing a disconnect between the response information and field conditions. I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, but like the response on the ticket shows site marked, but then we're getting calls back from the excavator saying that nobody's marked or responded yet. Um, if it's not marked in the field, then we shouldn't be using site marked. And it could be because maybe the markings got washed away or covered up or anything like that. But if there is no markings in the field, the excavator is going to call in a second notice or third notice ticket, which is a repeat notice. So you want to just make sure that your response does match the action you actually took out in the field as well. Some of the challenges that we've heard about from members is or from excavators is responses are being again submitted late or after the work to begin date. Oh, sorry, the top few are redundant of the last slide. So I'm going to jump down to extend or remark tickets for completed work. Again, we kind of covered this earlier, but that is one of the common challenges is those tickets. We've heard that that's something that we are aware of, and those things we talked about using that keywording and information about recouping the cost, putting that language in your comments are helpful. Looks like this is, I apologize. It looks like this is a little bit of the same slide, same slide as we just covered. So, um, sorry about that. The last one I will say, the correction required. We talked about the disconnect between the ticket, the response, and the field conditions, but the other is both the correction required and site marked used by operators. If the information's incorrect, it is a good idea to respond with the corresponding response code. What this is sometimes we're seeing tickets where some members were able to mark the facility and some say corrections required, and that may be because some of the members was able to mark it because they were able to communicate and get a hold of the excavator and mark it, but the ticket information may still be incorrect. If you're able to mark it, that's great, and go ahead and put site marked, but I would include information about that incorrect information on the ticket, but that you were able to get a hold of the excavator, any correspondence you had and been able to mark it based on that correspondence. But if it is incorrect information, use that correction required. Again, that tells the excavator and lets them know that they need to call back and update or correct that ticket. We do encourage you, if you do use the correction required response because information is incorrect on the ticket, that you include that in the comments, like what information is incorrect on the ticket, whether the house number may be incorrect or the directions didn't match the address or something like that. Include that information because that is helpful to the excavator to identify that the information is truly incorrect. They may think, no, the information on that I had was correct, but once you point it out, sometimes it's just eye-opening. So we encourage you to include that information in the ticket as well, or in the comments of your response. So next we're going to look at proper account setup because this can greatly impact your excavation readiness, the number of tickets you're responding to. And so we're going to take a look at the mapping of your underground facilities, the account contacts and users, and that positive response configuration set up so that you could, this is where we kind of talked about those facility type, or yeah, the number of facilities that you have listed on your response configuration. So first, looking at the mapping of your underground facilities, you want to of course, excavation readiness does start well before the ticket is ever submitted, and that starts with your mapping. Ensuring that your facilities are properly mapped and correctly set up in the OKI 811 system allows tickets to be routed correctly and responded to efficiently. So when mapping is outdated or incomplete, it can lead to unnecessary or irrelevant tickets, which can slow down your response times because you're responding to tickets that are unnecessary or irrelevant, not near your facility. So, and then of course that results in the excavator waiting for a response to a facility that may not even be in the area of the excavation at all. So you want to make sure and um, view the mapping in the service area editor of our portal, um, and make sure that all that information is correct and current and up to date. To support safe and timely excavation, it's important to communicate and coordinate internally whenever facilities are newly installed, relocated, or abandoned. Keeping that mapping information accurate and current ensures that your team is only responding to relevant tickets. And I put at the bottom of this slide to show kind of just again to try to open eyes, as 54% of our responses in 2025 were responded with the response code of clear. So that shows you how either these either there's some confusion on what clear is as a response code, or there are a lot of facility operators out there that may need to look at their mapping and see if those if they do have facilities in the area, and update that mapping. Just having updated mapping can help. Again, if you're 54 if 54% is being responded to as clear, that's a large that's a lot of time and money and unnecessary tickets and that you're responding to. So you want to make sure and look at that mapping to make sure that you're receiving those relevant locate requests, and receiving just the necessary ones. And just to let you know, for the service area editor, all of the one call contacts on your account and GIS contacts on the account, they're the ones that are able to view and update the mapping in the service area editor. Again, you can have as many users as you need for the portal to make sure that they have access, whoever need, whatever personnel that you have that's responsible for managing your mapping data, that you can have as many users as you need to do so. Also, something to keep in mind is if you use a third party locator or ticket management company, you want to if you provide mapping information for them as well, you want to make sure the mapping is updated in both systems with Oki 811 as well as that third party company to help with your ticket notifications. Next, we're going to look at the dispatch information that's on file. You can log into the old portal to view and update the information on file using the member information feature. But there you can look at your account contacts and users, making sure all necessary personnel have access to the portal. You want to look at your outputs. Those are just the ticket transmissions, making sure the notifications are going where they need to go. The main thing on here I want you to look at is your positive response configuration. This is an example to where you can see this dispatch has two facilities listed on the response configuration, and one's water, one's sewer. And so here they would need to respond to each ticket or for both facility types. So make sure that you're using that. We do have some that has quite that is something that we've seen on some feedback that we've had with members regarding our email last month, was that they did not have or they didn't realize the number of facility types they had listed. So you want to make sure that accurately reflects what you're responding for. Next, we're going to talk about, and I apologize, I realize that we are a little over, so I'm going to kind of high level this here, but building a culture of safety is important. It is a shared responsibility. We must all do our part in submitting by do our part to make sure that these tickets are excavation ready. and that takes the excavator only submitting, of course, tickets for the active tickets that they're doing and managing their tickets and their projects to make sure, again, those are only active tickets they're working. They're only submitting those. Facility operators, of course, making sure that you're responding on time, keeping information up to date in the system, and providing accurate and meaningful responses. That provides clear understanding of the status of your facility. And then also OKI 811, we're always here to provide support and help. We provide safety and education training when necessary. So if there's any concerns or issues with any tickets, excavators, trends that you're seeing, notify us. We're happy to work, happy to kind of look into it and see what we can do together to resolve any issues. So it is a shared responsibility and takes all of us doing our part. Building relationship with the excavators, try to reach out and establish a point of contact. Reach out to them, try to get a hold of them by phone or email to talk to them, and communicate with them again when needed. If there's anything that's unclear or misinformation on the ticket, reach out to them, clarify it, and try. Basically, the overall focus, having these relationships can help with future projects and help just, again, work together and try to resolve. And because they're wanting the facilities marked, they're wanting to start their work on time, you're wanting to be able to do it and all in one resolution. So next is just making sure to keep the communication open with OKI 811. If there's any system issues, mapping discrepancies, reach out. And also we have these trainings and webinars to help stay current and up to date with law changes and best practices. The results of culture safety, of course, just building that culture of safety it starts with consistent proactive response management. So when responses are timely and clear, excavation work can move forward more smoothly and safely, and facility risks are reduced. So also ticket volumes become more manageable, and everyone involved has clear expectations and better communication. So ultimately, effective responses don't just improve our efficiency, but they also save time, reduce cost, and most importantly, they protect lives. So the next steps and resources that are available to you. First is next step is we encourage you to monitor your response performance. Use the OKI 811 portal to log in and pull response reports to identify patterns, see the late responses, and then also maybe spot reoccurring issues and just identify those trends and see what you can do internally on your end, maybe to help improve those responses that may be late or any no responses, the tickets that didn't have any responses. And then of course, communicate and follow up with your team to help address any root causes. And then also OKI 811, we are going to continue doing monthly email notifications for excavation readiness. So reviewing that information can help identify those root causes and improvements that may be needed. We do have some resources that are available to you. Of course, the Oklahoma Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, it is on our website. And it does show, document, of course, the facility operator and excavator responsibilities, the information about excessive and unreasonable requests and recouping those costs, including false emergency tickets, where you can recoup cost. We also have the portal that you can use. We do have user guiding and knowledge base information in the portal to help you if you have any questions on how to respond or using any of the other features. And again, those reports, using those to identify those trends. We also have a learning hub available as a resource to where you can view the tutorials or any recorded webinars. And then of course your member services team and education and outreach team is here available to help you answer any questions or resolve any issues or trends that you are seeing with excavators. And then, of course, the benefits of strong excavation readiness. Of course, it improves safety and reduces a risk of damages. It supports on-time excavation and minimizes the project delays, reduces unnecessary ticket volume, so you're not getting those repeat notices or you may get remarks or extends, but if it's able to start on time, they may not have to remark or extend. They may not go beyond that life of the ticket. It ensures compliance with the state law and industry best practices. And also, overall, it builds trust, cooperation, and accountability between excavators, facility operators, and the notification center. So better data and also results in better data and performance metrics. So let's work together and be sure every dig starts safely and on time. Just some highlights and action items. Again, safety culture, treat every ticket as safety commitment. Focus on readiness, not just compliance, but trying to make sure those tickets are excavation ready. Work together to prevent damages before it happens, and then be sure to respond on time for all ticket notifications to help eliminate unnecessary fees, because there are fees that are associated with those repeat notices, and then of course with damages as well as other things that incur with the damages. Some action items, again, check positive response configuration details, make sure that's accurate. So, because that can affect your excavation readiness score. Review your account to make sure you're only receiving those relevant tickets and that all necessary personnel have access to respond to tickets. Pull those reports to identify those trends and challenges. And then, of course, responding clearly and on time, utilizing their comments for any kind of correspondence or collaboration that you had with the excavator. And then, of course, communication and collaboration is key. Again, it takes all of us to work together to build this a culture of safety and damage prevention. So now, again, I apologize for the long webinar. We are going to now open it up to see if we had any questions. Ashley?
Eva, thank you so much for all the fantastic information. At this time, we don't have any questions, but as we always say, if you all have any questions, feel free to reach out to member services and we'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you, Ashley. And we would appreciate your feedback, so we do encourage you to take that. We want to know how we did and how we can improve. And then, of course, if you ever have any questions or anything like that, we are here for you. If you do have any questions, just feel free to reach out to any of us. This is your member services team, and we're happy to help in any way we can. All right, and thank you again for joining today's webinar. I apologize for the length of the webinar, but we hope you enjoyed it, and we appreciate your participation and hope you found the session informative and helpful. So thank you again and stay safe.